Hello there. I'm sure sometimes you like to feel in control. Your decisions, your emotions, your life, even the way people see you. And for the most part, it feels like you are. Until something doesn't go your way, someone doesn't respond how you expected, or life shifts in a way you didn't plan for. And suddenly, that sense of control starts slipping. Control is one of the most comforting illusions we hold onto. It gives structure to uncertainty, makes the unpredictable feel manageable, and helps us believe that if we just do the right things, we can shape outcomes exactly how we want them. But here's the part most people avoid: you can control your actions and you can influence your environment. But you cannot fully control how people feel, how they respond, or how things ultimately unfold. And when we try to control those things anyway, it doesn't create stability. It creates tension. Because the tighter you hold onto control, the more obvious it becomes when it slips. Antonio, 28, sees himself as someone who doesn't tolerate nonsense. When things don't go his way, a delayed response, a disagreement, a mistake, he reacts quickly. Raises his voice, gets intense, and pushes his point harder. To him, it feels like control. Like he's taking charge of the situation. But if you look closer, it's the opposite, because anger, in that moment, isn't controlled. It's reactive. It's what happens when something internal gets triggered, and spills outward. Antonio's not controlling the situation. He's responding to how it made him feel. And the more he tries to force control through intensity, the more people pull back. Not because they don't understand him, but because they feel overwhelmed by the reaction. So what feels like power, is actually a loss of it. Candice, 41, is thoughtful, analytical, always thinking ahead. She plans carefully, considers outcomes, and anticipates problems before they happen. In many ways, that works for her. But when life doesn't follow the plan, she struggles. She overthinks, replays conversations, tries to mentally fix situations that are already out of her hands. Somewhere along the way, Candice learned this: if I think hard enough, I can stay in control. But intelligence doesn't eliminate uncertainty. It just makes you more aware of it. And that awareness can turn into an illusion, that if you just figure everything out, nothing will go wrong. But life doesn't work that way. No amount of thinking can guarantee outcomes. No amount of planning can prevent every shift. So instead of feeling secure, Candice feels mentally exhausted. Not because she lacks control, but because she's trying to hold on to more of it than she actually has. 55-year-old Jeremy has learned something over time: that not everything needs a reaction. In conversations, he listens more than he speaks. In tense situations, he stays composed. To others, it looks like confidence, control, and in many ways, it is. But not in the way most people think. Jeremy doesn't stay silent to control others. He stays silent because he understands what he can't control. He knows that not every opinion needs to be changed. Not every situation needs to be fixed, and not every reaction needs to be expressed. So instead of trying to manage everything around him, Jeremy manages himself. And that's where the shift happens. Because real control isn't about dominating situations. It's about knowing where your influence ends. The need for control often comes from discomfort with uncertainty. Anger tries to force outcomes, overthinking tries to predict them, while silence, when used well, accepts their limits. But the more you try to control what's outside of you, the less grounded you feel within yourself. Because your stability becomes dependent on things you don't actually control. Other people, outcomes, timing, and those things will always vary. Real control is quieter than most people expect. It doesn't look like force, doesn't sound like certainty, and feels like acceptance with intention. You act where you have influence, let go where you don't, respond instead of react, and adjust instead of resist. Control isn't about making everything go your way. It's about staying steady, even when it doesn't. You don't control everything. You were never meant to. But that doesn't make you powerless. It just means your power exists in a different place. Not in outcomes. Not in people. Not in forcing things to work. But in how you choose to show up, when they don't. So maybe you need to ask yourself, why am I trying to control something that was never mine to hold? If you've enjoyed this video, kindly like, share, and subscribe for more.